All right, hey everybody. Like Amanda said, my name is Jessie Jennings and I'm a content creator here at Plaid. And today we're gonna be using FolkArt paint and I'm gonna show you how to make these really cute little pastel gift bags. So of course we all love crafting for Christmas and the holiday season, but probably one of my favorite crafts around this time of year is gift wrap. I love hand painted gift wrap. I know it sounds like a lot when you're buying a lot of presents, it's probably a little bit harder. But just for smaller gifts, I think it's a really sweet and personalized way to give a gift to somebody. It makes it that much more special. So these I think are even really great just for like home decor. You can make these cute gift bags, have them as, put them under your tree as like a little decor before, the holidays come when the presents actually go under there. But it's a really fun little way to spruce up some of your holiday gifts this year. Also, pastels are super trendy this year. So I love that we're getting to use them today. And I can show you some of the really beautiful pastel colors we have in our FolkArt paint line at Michael's. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know what supplies you'll need to get started. So like I said, of course, we'll be using our FolkArt paints. So the colors we have today are Calypso Sky, Minted Aqua, Daybreak, Pink Frosting, and Lilac Ice. So really beautiful pastel colors. And like I said, all of these, of course, you can get at Michael's. And then for a little sparkle on our bag today, you can see, ooh, there you go. That sparkle, we're going to be using our Mod Podge Mega Glitter. So if you haven't heard of this one, of course, we all know and love Mod Podge. There's a few glitter formulas, and Mega Glitter is kind of like a medium-sized particle glitter, but it's really concentrated, and it comes in 3 colors. It comes in Hologram, which we have here, which is great for painting snow, and there's also silver and gold. So you'll see when we use it a little bit later on, but this is if you're into glitter, this is a really great glitter to use because it's encapsulated in the Mod Podge base. So there's not loose glitter everywhere. You don't have to worry about like putting the Mod Podge down and then sprinkling it and then just like having glitter all over you for like 2 weeks. This one's much easier and much cleaner to clean up when you're done. So I love that one. And then of course we have our gift bags here. So Michael's has lots of really great blank gift bags and gift cards and things like that, gift boxes. So there's some white gift bags plain at Michael's. And then we'll have some brushes, a variety of brushes to use, probably smaller flat brushes, what we're using mostly, a couple small round brushes for details. And then we also are going to have a water basin to clean our brushes, paper towels, and some palette paper just to put our paint on. And there's actually one more color that I forgot to mention. We're going to be using some FolkArt Teal too for some of these darker accents. So you can use navy for those, purple, any darker color. I just love the way it pops off of these pretty pastels. We'll be using that as well today. So I don't know if Stephen has a chance to get on yet, but are there any questions about supplies?
Not so far. I think we're good, Jessie.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. All right, so I'm going to show you how to paint this bag in particular. There's a few designs that I have here that you will have seen in the event listing, but I'm going to show you how to paint this one because it kind of has most of the designs that the other ones have, but I'll show you how to paint that tree too. So once we learn how to paint this one, we should be able to paint the other two as well if you want to paint those designs also. So I'm going to tilt towards me so I can see it. So let's get started by sort of sketching out our design here. So if you have a pencil, you can feel free to use that. If you've painted with me before, you know that I usually will just use thin down paint to kind of like sketch, as I say, onto my canvas or bag or whatever it is I happen to be painting. So I'm going to grab some of my teal because it's the darkest color I have, put a tiny little bit on my palette, truly just a tiny, tiny bit. But like I said, feel free to use a pencil. And I'm going to water this down a lot. I have a thin brush here, a #1 liner. I'm going to thin down this brush. You have almost an inky consistency, and I'm kind of going to sketch, that's kind of not really sketching, of course, but sort of sketch out the outline of our design. So here, I'll put this down so you all can see where we're going with this. So I'm going to start by painting the bottom. So I'm going to go about 1 inch from the bottom, and I'm just going to do a line straight across. And you can see the reason I watered down my paint so much is because I want it to be really transparent so that it's easy to paint over. It'll dry quickly, and then we'll be able to paint over with our acrylic paints, and we won't know those lines are there. So that's why I have it super, super thin, almost like watercolors. So I've got my land here, my snow at the bottom, and then I'm going to find the middle towards the top. I'm going to go about 1 inch from the top and find center and put a dot there because that's going to be the peak of my roof. So we just want to kind of lay it out to make sure that it's all proportional. So that's the peak of our roof. And then I'm going to start sort of a 1/2 inch to the left, and I'm going to pull a line upwards to that dot that we just made. And then I'm going to mirror that line on the other side the best I can. It's okay if it's not perfect because this is supposed to be a very loose and sort of cartoony looking Christmas village. So if it's not perfect, that is okay. We just want to get it, as perfect as we can. And then from there, I'm going to do a couple lines, probably 3/4 of an inch in on either side. I'm going to pull lines down towards my land. The same thing, we're going to mirror it. So it should look something like this. Really simple house shape right now. And we've got our land line there. Is everybody doing okay, Stephen?
Yeah, we're doing good. Our internet is giving us a little bit of trouble. So bear with us, guys, but we can still see you right now. It made our screen a little smaller for a second, but I'll let you know if you need to bring your bag closer and hold it up to the camera so people can see it better.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, just let me know. I'm happy to hold it up or whatever you need me to do to make it so you guys can see what I'm painting. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint this sort of half circle window here at the top. So I'm going to we're going to keep making these dots to kind of make like landmarks for where our shapes are going to go. Instead of just trying to paint it, just do that shape, it could end up being a little to the left, a little to the right. To make sure those lines are actually going to be where we want them to be, we're going to make sort of starting and ending points, and that's going to help us to make sure that our shapes are exactly where we have planned for them. So I'm going to start by making a little dot right below our peak up there, so probably about 1 inch from there. And then I'm going to do a line probably about 1.5 inches below that, so right here. And then that's where our curve is going to be, our half circle. So we're going to hit that dot and mirror that going all the way down and around. So you can see that just makes it a little bit simpler to get that perfectly mirrored shape, or as perfect as we can get it anyway. So give everybody just a second to catch up with that. In case it was lagging for anybody because of the internet. Okay. So now we're going to paint this little yellow part of our house here. So we're going to put a dot right below the left corner of our window, and that's going to be the peak of that little roof area. And we're going to go past our line a little bit. We're going to kind of go parallel to that lines up there to our top roof. We're going to mirror that. And then a line coming down straight to the bottom of our house again. And a tip for getting some of these like more straight lines is to hold your brush loosely. If you hold your brush really tight like a pencil, it's going to be harder for you to control the direction of your hand, because if your hand shakes at all, your brush is going to shake with it. So if you hold your brush nice and loosely, have a very loose grip on it, you will get much straighter lines, because even if your hand shakes, it's kind of like hydraulics almost. It doesn't make the brush shake as much because it's a looser grip. So your brush has a little bit more leeway, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to do straight lines, I recommend having a nice loose grip on your brush. All right, so now we're going to do this round door here. So I'm going to do the curve just how we've been doing. I'm going to do the top of the curve where I want it, about 1/2 inch from that peak. Here, I'll hold it up straight because it looks like it's getting a little pixely again. And then I'm going to do a line down, curved line to the left. And then a curved line to the right. And then the last thing we're going to lay in is our tree. So this one's really fun to paint. We're going to just kind of give an idea of where it's going to be. We're going to go in with our darker teal later on. That's one of the last things we paint on our house. But we do want to have an idea of where it's going to be. So I'm just going to do some lines. I'm going to use this as my center, the right edge of our house. And I'm going to do some lines, just kind of how you expect a tree to be. just kind of for placement's sake. We're gonna, of course, paint that to be darker and thicker, but that's just, you know, where our tree is going to be. There you go. Can you see? Okay. All right. So it's truly as simple as that. And then if you're going to be painting more bags with it, you know, you can kind of lay them all out first so that you can see what they're going to look like, and make sure they're kind of varied. You can change, you know, once you get your straight lines down and your tree placement and the different windows, you can kind of just vary them from design to design to give yourself that little like unique village look. So they match, but they're not exactly the same, if that makes sense. So you can see for this pink one here, or I'm sorry, for this like purpley green one here, we did the same sort of smaller house area, but we centered it for this one. So it changes up the way that it looks. We did a round door again. We did a more square roof, but it's all the same idea and the same skills that we did for that one. It's just going to be in a different area. So you have a kind of a different look. And then the same goes for this one here. This one's even simpler. This one is just a super simple house here. We have our round window and our round door. Just like I said, same techniques, just different placement. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna move this other camera over so that we can cut to this one.
Okay.
Overhead.
Okey-doke.
Just bear with this, guys.
Yeah, Steven's making it so you guys can see better. So let everybody catch up. This is what your bag should look like. So everybody can go ahead and make sure they have their bag laid out while Steven's trying to fix us up here.
A minute, if you could cut to this other camera. Okay, hopefully people can see better.
I think that's way better, definitely.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
And if you'll just show it to the side of yourself.
All right. Yeah, definitely. No problem. Okay, great. I'm glad you guys can see. Thanks, Steven.
Yeah.
It's nice to have people who know about technology around for these things. Okay, cool. So now it's time to start base coating our bag. So putting in the really pretty pastel colors, and we're going to start with the background. So that way, when we paint the foreground, we don't have to like go back and, you know, touch it up or anything. We can kind of just cover it and go straight to the edges. So for the background, we're going to grab some, oh, you know what? I forgot my white. Thanks, Steven. I'm going to grab some of my Calypso Sky. So I'm going to grab a larger brush. So you can do a 3/4 inch flat brush. I'm going to pick up some Calypso Sky and I'm going to paint it onto the background of my bag. You can add a little bit of white if you want it to be lighter. I'm going to go all around the back here. And you can use a smaller flat brush if you want. Thank you so much. And I'll show you here, thanks, Steven, how to mix it if you want to make it a little bit lighter. See here, my original one is lighter than I've got here because I mixed it. So I've got some white on my palette here. I'm going to pick up some white. We'll start with 1 part white and 1 part Calypso Sky, just on my brush. And I'm going to mix that on my palette. And you get this really pretty, more of a sky blue. It's a little bit softer than the Calypso Sky straight out of the bottle. So let's go over that real quick with this lighter blue. So it'll match my original design a little bit better. And we're just going around the outside, the background of our house here. And since I'm using a larger brush, it's much quicker. If you're using a smaller brush, it'll take a little bit longer, but we're covering lots of area. And since we're painting FolkArt acrylic, if you guys have painted with us before, you know that it has super awesome coverage, but it has especially good coverage since we're painting on paper here today. So whenever you paint with acrylic on paper, paper is of course super absorbent. So you'll always, pretty much always need just one coat and then you're done, which is really nice and satisfying. So we do a lot of canvas painting here at Plaid, of course, with our lovely FolkArt acrylics, but I also really love to paint on paper with it because it has such good coverage. So there is our background. So now I'm going to clean my brush off. And whenever I clean my brush off, I like to wipe the excess paint off onto my paper towel before I put it in the water. And that just helps to save your water so you don't have to refresh your water so much when you're painting. If you just were to put all of that paint straight in there, your water would get dirty really quickly and you'd be having to refresh it really often. So if you just a little tip for painting, if you wipe your brush off on a paper towel first, you kind of save yourself some trouble. You need to make sure to blow off all of the water onto a paper towel. And now we're going to paint the inside of the house. So we're going to use our pink frosting. I'm actually going to lighten this one slightly too. So I'm going to grab a bit smaller of a flat brush. So this one here is a 1/2 inch flat brush. And we're going to lighten this one up a little bit too. So I'm going to start with 1 part pink frosting and 1 part titanium white. We're going to mix those two together. And then if we want to make it a little bit warmer, like this one we have here, it's almost like a corally color. We can throw in a little bit of Daybreak, which is this pretty soft yellow. So I'm going to do just a touch of Daybreak, and that's going to give us that sort of like salmon coral color that we have here on our final design. So just a tiny bit. You can see I hardly have any on my brush there. A tiny touch of Daybreak we're going to mix in, and that's going to give us that pretty warm pink. Maybe a teensy bit more. Okay, you see how that warmed it up already? So I'm going to put a little more of my pink frosting in there. And you can really just, if you guys aren't used to mixing paints and mixing colors, you really can just experiment. It's kind of thing where it's really good to know about colors, of course, and how colors change each other. But a lot of times it really just takes practice. You can kind of experiment a little bit by adding small amounts of different colors and kind of seeing how it changes it. So add a little more of the pink frosting, add a little more white, add a little more of the Daybreak, and kind of see what you get. And that'll really help you just going in the future, kind of, playing around and seeing what colors you like for your pieces. Okay, so I think I like what I've got there. So I'm going to wipe off that excess paint. And we're going to start painting the largest area of our house. You can see here what great coverage it's got. Going around the window. Just carefully using the edge of our brush to go into those corners. If you get a little bit over the line, do not stress because we have all the colors we need to touch that up. It's not a big deal. So that is our little pink layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the brush off. So I kind of forgot this. We need to add blue to our top window here. So really quick, while we have this color that we mixed for our background still wet on our palette, let's use our small flat brush and just fill that in real quick. I got sidetracked with all the camera moving. That's okay. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna clean my brush off again real quick. we're gonna move on to our yellow area. So the door area is going to be Daybreak. So the area around the door, I should say, and that is this pretty yellow color that we've already put on our palette. That's the one that we added a little bit of to our pink. So I've got that on my palette. So I'm still using my small flat brush, and I'm going to paint around the door with Daybreak. I'm kind of using the edge of my brush to get into the smaller areas. All right, moving right along. Refresh my paper towels. Okay. So for the door, we're going to be using Lilac Ice, which is this super pretty soft lavender color. So I'll put a little bit of that on my palette. And I've still got my small flat brush, just still the 1/2 inch flat. And we're just do straight lavender ice right on our round door here. And you don't really have to worry about covering up these teal lines that we put in first, because we're going to go back and outline the whole thing with teal, and that will cover those up. So don't worry if you haven't covered those up with your areas of color yet, because we can do that later. Everybody doing okay, Steven?
Yeah, we're doing good. I'm pretty sure that people are able to see much better now, so I'm glad we were able to
Awesome.
get that fixed.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Glad you were here.
We had somebody say that these were very cute designs, and I do agree.
Thank you. I love a pastel village for Christmas. I don't know why. I made one last year at the birdhouses here, which was really fun to do. All right. So we are going to let that dry a little bit. And while that's drying, before we start with our darker teal color, we can grab our white and touch up the bottom here if you need to. I got a little bit over the edge here. If you didn't get paint over the edge, you don't have to worry about it. You can just use the white of the bag. But I did. So I'm going to grab some of my titanium white, and I'm going to just kind of touch that up so it looks like snow. And I'll probably want to paint the whole bottom since it's a slightly different white than the bag. But again, you don't have to do this part if you kept yours nice and clean.
Jesse, we actually had a color about the water basin that a question about the water basin that you're using. They asked, your water bucket is two-sided, and it sort of is, but it sort of is meant to just have a bunch of different textures at the bottom so that it really works the paint out of your brush, whether it's like dried or it's still wet.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of split into two, but it also, like, if you put enough water in it, it'll run over both sides and become one thing. It's a really good little water basin.
It's exactly right here. I can show you. So it's got two sides here. You can't really see because it's too full, but on this side, just like Steven said, it's got like ridges on the bottom, so you can kind of rake your brush across it to get that paint out. And on this side, it's just flat, but it has areas where you can kind of like leave your brush in there. Although I really don't recommend leaving your brush in water, so I kind of disagree with this water basin, but you can if you were to need to. All right, let everybody catch up for just a second. Okay, so I've got my white on the bottom, and I've got my colors up here. You can see how quickly it dries on paper because it absorbs it and absorbs the moisture. So it dries super fast when you paint with acrylic on paper. So we really are ready to move on to make sure that yours is dry. If you need to grab a hair dryer, feel free to do that. But we're going to move on to our teal outline because it's already dry. So I've got some teal here. I'm going to put it on my palette. You probably have a little bit already from when we did our sort of outline in the beginning, but I just want to get some fresh paint on there. And I'm going to grab a number 6 round. So something that looks like this. It doesn't have to be exactly the same size, but a small-ish round brush. And I'm going to dip my brush in a little bit of water before I pick up my paint. And I don't always recommend watering down your acrylic paint, but since we're going to be doing some thin lines, I just want it to be a little bit thinner so that it flows a little bit better when we're trying to paint those lines, because FolkArt acrylics are so thick and creamy that sometimes you just need to thin it a tiny bit when you want to do these really thin lines. So that said, I put a little bit of water in there and I've loaded my brush. And to get that point, if you've kind of gotten too much paint in your brush and you lost that nice sharp edge, you can twirl your brush on your palette to kind of get that sharp point again. So I've got a nice little brush here. So I'm going to start with my roof, and I'm just going to go on the lines that we originally painted to kind of fill those back in, because you painted over them when we painted all of our areas of colors, and now we want those again because that's going to be part of the detail of our house. So I'm just going to carefully go along those lines. And the key to getting really nice thin lines is applying an even pressure. So whether you're I don't recommend pressing down very much, but whether you are or whether you're not, as long as it's even and steady and consistent the entire time. You don't want to start by pressing down hard and then press, pull up a little bit and then press down hard again, because that's how you're going to get lines like that. So you can see right there where I accidentally pressed down a little too hard. That's why my line got thicker right there. So I can show you a little example on my palette paper here. So if you go nice and light on the pressure, you get a thin line. And then if you press down, you get a thick line. So it's a really great technique when you're using a round brush if you want to get different widths of lines. But for now, we're just looking to get a nice thin line. So we're going to put very little pressure on our round brush. So again, we're still just following our original lines that we painted in the beginning. And you don't want too much water in there because you want to get a nice opaque line, just enough so it kind of helps your paint to flow a little bit on these thin lines. So now that we've got those in, you can go ahead and paint those tree lines too. Or let's do that. Where we had it before, I can still kind of see. We're just going to block that back in so we know the placement. But I'm going to add some lines to my window by doing one in the middle and then a couple fanning out on either side. And I'm also going to go around my front door. Don't forget to make a little doorknob. And then I'm going to show you how I did the texture on the roof here. So you can see here, we've got some cute texture on there. And I'll show you how I did that. So pick up a little bit of paint on your brush, still the same brush, and going from the left to the right, because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you might want to go from the right to the left. I'm going to go right above my roof. I'm going to go right above my roof, and I'm going to swish my brush down, make a little dot. And then I'm going to keep doing that all the way up with just the tip of my brush all the way up my roof, picking up paint when you need it. Go back down the other side. You can see why, since I'm right-handed, I started with my left so I don't drag my hand in the paint. If you're left-handed, you're going to want to start on your right and go to the left for the same reason. Smishing the tip of my brush going down to get this cute little texture on the roof. All the way down. So the next detail we're going to add to our house are our Christmas lights. So you can see here, I just did little, almost like a scalloped edge going from the roof, all the like kind of hanging from the roof there. And that's going to be our Christmas lights. So we're going to start on the left side, and you want to put very little pressure because you want this to be a nice thin line. And we're going to do a loop, and try to keep them consistent. But again, if they're not perfect, that is okay. I don't know many people who put their Christmas lights up perfectly. We're going to go all the way down our roof. All right. And then last with our teal here, we are going to paint our Christmas tree. So you've got it sort of placed just like I mentioned at the beginning. Now we're going to fill in all of that pretty turquoise, or that pretty teal, I should say. So to do that, we're going to go off of our outline. We're going to start on the left side, and we're going to pull in, but we're going to go a little bit under that line. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to start where I started with this one, but I'm going to go under the line. Does that make sense? And for the same thing for here, I'm going to go under this line. And then I'm going to go under this line. And then I'm also going to connect these lines to those lines. So this one I'm going to connect up there. And this one I'm going to connect up there. And now we have a really nice Christmas tree shape. It's really easy to do. So I'll do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to kind of turn my hand so I can pull. I'm going to connect this line and go right under it. Go right under it, and then go right under it. And then I'm going to connect these lines to the edges to get that cute Christmas tree. And then I do want to add another one at the bottom. So down at the bottom here, we're going to kind of just make our little, we're going to mimic what's up there. So it's overlapping the snow. And then you want to fill that in with your teal. And once you fill it in, sometimes it kind of stands out where maybe your lines went a little funny. So feel free to kind of correct that once you've got it all filled in. But if you kind of followed after me, you should have a pretty good tree there, a pretty cute cartoon tree. Cartoon Christmas tree. Go ahead and rinse my brush off. And now we are going to add some lights to our house. So you can see we have all these cute pastel lights here, and we're going to do that with the back of our paintbrush. So we're going to use the handle of our paintbrush, almost like a stamp, to add those lights. So I'm going to do pink and purple up here on the top, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to dip my brush in some purple. It doesn't take much. You don't have too much because you're going to end up kind of making a mess. And I'm going to follow the strand of lights so that it's almost like there's purple lights hanging from this wire here. And I'm just going to do some purple dots here and there. And you want to kind of keep reloading your brush because, of course, the handle of your brush isn't very absorbent, so it doesn't have any paint inside of it. So once you stamp it down, all of your paint is gone. So you want to make sure that you pick up new paint each time you stamp down. There you go. We're leaving some room for another color. So it should look something like that. And then while I have the purple on here, I'm going to add a few dots to my Christmas tree, leaving room for more colors. Keep in mind, we're going to add pink and yellow to the tree. These are going to be our nice Christmas lights to make it feel like Christmas. Okay. So that's good for now. So now I'm just going to wipe the end of my brush off. You don't need to put it in the water because you can just wipe it off on the paper towel and that should get all the paint off. And I'm going to pick up some of my Daybreak, which is my yellow color. And I'm going to go in between the purple lights up top and add some to the string of lights on the house. Then I'm going to add some of this yellow color to the tree as well. And then lastly, I'm going to wipe this off and I'm going to add some of our pink color to the tree. I'm not going to add it to the house, of course, because you won't see it. So we'll just add this pink color onto our Christmas tree.
And Jesse, maybe after you finish that up, let's give everybody a chance to catch up just in case people are still working.
Okay, no problem. Give you guys just a minute. For those of you who are caught up, let us know what kind of Christmas crafting you've been doing. Have you been painting ornaments or getting gift wrap ready, making wreaths? We'd love to hear what you guys are up to.
And so let's, what are the 3 colors that you've used as dots for the tree?
I used my Lilac Ice, Daybreak, and then the pink frosting mixture that we made. You can just use straight pink frosting. It's not going to stand out because the color's so similar, but we did add some white and some yellow to this color to get our house colors. These are the 3 colors that I used.
Awesome.
You could put blue on there if you wanted to. You could put some green. It is totally up to you. I had green listed in the supply list because I did use it on some of the other bags. I just didn't use it on this particular one. So I wanted to make sure you guys had all the colors you needed to paint the whole set. All right, while everybody's catching up, I'm going to keep dotting. It's the same technique, but I'm going to do some white snow on our blue background. So same brush, same technique. I'm just going to use white, so nothing new. And these are going to be snowflakes. Some snow falling down on our pastel winter village. You get as many or as few as you want. You want it to be a blizzard, feel free to add lots and lots. You want it to be a light flurry, you can just add a few here and there. Totally up to you.
Jesse, could you talk about the differences between Mod Podge Extreme Glitter and Mega Glitter?
Sure, yeah. I would say that Mega Glitter is probably like our most glitter formula, if that makes sense. So it's probably the most concentrated with particles, whereas Extreme Glitter is like a little bit softer. And in case you guys didn't know, we also have Mod Podge Sparkle, which is even softer than that. So if you just want like a tiny like twinkle and shimmer, you want to use Sparkle. If you want something that's like a medium level of glitter, if that makes sense, and a little bit smaller particles, you're going to want to go with Extreme Glitter. And then if you want it to be really dense, full coverage glitter, like you can see here, you're going to want to use the Mega Glitter.
It's kind of similar to me as like in the differences between our Glitterific line of folk art, where we have like Glitterific regular and then Glitterific fine, like Jesse said, a little more thin, the particles, and then Glitterific pop, which is the big chunky mix of all shapes and sizes of glitter.
Exactly. Yeah, we have different levels of glitter here at Plaid. One is not enough, so we like to have options. So I want to say too, the Mega Glitter, like I said, comes in 3 colors, comes in hologram, silver, and gold. I want to say Sparkle, I know, only comes in 1. It's like a hologram shimmer. And then I want to say Extreme Color or Extreme Glitter only comes in silver. I could be wrong. I could be saying that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Mega Glitter is the only one that comes in all 3 of those colors. So that is a little bit of a difference too. All right, is everybody caught up, Stephen?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So now, since we're talking about glitter, it's time to add the glitter. That was a good segue into our last step of this bag.
Awesome.
So like I said, I've got my Mod Podge Mega Glitter here. It's probably one of my favorite. I like, if I'm going to use glitter, I like to go all the way. So I like to use this when I'm using glitter. And this is, again, in hologram. So it's this really pretty iridescent, clear coat of glitter. I'm gonna grab my small flat brush. Oh, I left it in the water. Shouldn't have done that. So make sure I get all the paint and I don't want any water on my brush. And then I like to use the glitter right out of the jar here. So you can see it's pretty thick. It's got that sort of like milky base, just like all of our Mod Podge does. But just like the rest of our Mod Podge formulas, it will always dry clear. So it's not as easy to notice on this one, but especially if you use the gold, it's gonna look really milky and really cloudy when you paint it on, but it will absolutely dry clear. I actually just used the gold on a Christmas ornament last night at home, and it came out super milky. And then this morning it was just a solid gold sparkle. So just keep that in mind when you're using the Mod Podge glitters. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start painting that onto the white area down here. So I'll get that nice sparkly snow. And I'm being pretty generous with it. You don't want to like glob it on too much, but I'm doing a pretty generous coat on there. I just want to make sure that it's nice and even, just so I get that full sparkle. And you can do multiple layers if you wanted to. You could do a thin coat and then let it dry and see how you like it and always add more. But I'm impatient, so I like to do one coat. So I go pretty heavy with the glitter. And I'm also going to put it on the pink areas of the house to get that nice sparkle. And this is where you'll probably see better that it's kind of milky when you put it on, but again, it does dry clear. So I'm going to paint it onto pink. Be careful if your ornament or your Christmas lights on your pink house are still wet. You don't want to go over that just yet. You want to kind of give it a minute. Go around my tree here. Up here with my ornaments. Being careful not to go over any areas that may still be wet. Here you go. So like I said, you can see it's a little bit milky when you apply it. But it'll dry to be super clear and iridescent and shimmery. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, we just had a good question. Is there a product to simulate snow on the trees, or would you just add white paint to this glitter product?
Oh, that's a great question.
We could do that. We've also used FolkArt terracotta for that, which has like this chunky sort of textured, dried look to it. And we use that a lot for, not so much for 2D paintings and sketches like this. We use it on a lot of like actual Christmas villages. I've seen us do that a couple times, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that for this, Jessie. Did you say anything?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think you answered it exactly right. For this one, I probably would just use white paint, and I can even show you how I would add snow to the tree if you'd like. But Stephen made a great point. Last year, we came out with FolkArt terracotta paint, which is acrylic paint that has a faux terracotta finish. So it's got texture in the paint. And whenever you paint it onto a surface, it makes it look like it's real terracotta. So we kind of like figured out this hack last Christmas that you can use the white terracotta and it looks like three-dimensional snow on whatever you might be making, whether it's, you know, Christmas tree statues or Christmas villages, like Steven said. You can use that white terracotta paint and it really does look like faux snow. And then you can put glitter on top of that if you wanted to. So yeah, either option is great. But I'd be happy to show you guys how to paint snow onto the tree right now if you'd like. Okay, so I've got my number 6 round brush, the one we were using earlier. I'm going to pick up some white paint. And on my trees here, I'm going to start on the tips of the branches. And I'm going to press down and pull up. Press down and pull up. I'm kind of getting some glitter contamination, but that's okay. Press down and pull up. Press down and pull up. And I'm going to do that for all of my branches here. And that's how I would paint probably snow on this particular tree. You can always add more texture too. You probably want to add more to the top. Because if you think about it, you know, if you're trying to think of this tree as a real 3D shape, it's going to fall on the top branches that are kind of facing the sky. was going to hit those top branches there. So if I was going to add snow to this, this is how I would do it. And then you could add some to the roof too. Kind of smoosh your brush down there. That's kind of how you would do it for this. That answers your question.
Yeah, I think it did. I think that's exactly what they were looking to see.
Awesome. Well, cool guys. I hope you guys had fun painting this. Like I said, it'll dry super clear. And you'll have this nice shiny iridescent sparkle finish. And then you can finish it off. Oops, sorry, I shook the camera. You can finish it off with some tissue paper. Michael's has a great variety of tissue paper. When you're wrapping your gifts, or when you're using or if you're putting it under your tree as a decoration. And there's just so many designs you can make using this exact technique. So all different kinds of houses, all different kinds of roofs. Now that you guys know how to paint the nice straight lines, I've showed you some of the beautiful pastel colors that we offer at Michael's, how to apply the glitter. So yeah, if there's no more questions, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks for hanging tight while we're figuring out our technical difficulties. I really have been looking forward to this class because I love this project. So I hope you had fun. And like Jimena said in the beginning, if you decide to post your project online or use any of our products here, make sure to hashtag Make It With Michaels and hashtag Plaid Crafts so we can see everything you're doing. And happy holidays. Bye, guys.